Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest is Adam Deremo, co-founder and CEO of Awake Chocolate. Welcome to Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on. Always love having innovative food product people on. Tell us a little bit about Awake and what it is you guys provide.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, Awake is chocolate with benefits. We sell mostly bite-sized pieces of chocolate, individually wrapped, of course, and each one is fortified with 50 milligrams of caffeine. So you get an indulgent and satisfying sweet treat, but you also get some extra energy and invigoration. And we have found that the people who are buying Awake really appreciate that because not only is it a treat in their day, it's actually an enabler of being a bit productive. And so it helps people get things done.
So let me ask you a question because, layman's understanding that chocolate does have caffeine or has some caffeine in it. So the 50 milligrams is in addition to the naturally occurring chocolate, or is it so negligible the amount of caffeine that is in chocolate in general? Or is my information entirely incorrect?
No, you're definitely right. There is some caffeine that naturally occurs in cocoa, and so by extension in chocolate. It's really nowhere near enough to be functionally effective. So for perspective, if you had high cacao content dark chocolate, you would need to eat something like a 100-gram bar to get about 40 milligrams of caffeine. And our products are 13 and a half grams, so considerably less, far more manageable dosage. And yeah, so when we fortify with 50 milligrams of caffeine, it's comparable to about a half a cup of coffee. But of course, no coffee taste, just delicious chocolate. And so it makes it way easier to get that functional benefit.
So you seem to be at a time when there's a proliferation of product in the marketplace, food product in the marketplace that is caffeinated. You're combining the many people's greatest pleasures, right? Chocolate
Yeah.
along with a little caffeine, or coffee. Where do you fit within? Are you a snack category? Are you a supplement? Are you a treat? Tell us where you fit within the food categories and where are retailers placing you?
Yeah, we are definitively a food item. We're not a supplement. And I think that's important. And it's something that's different about our brand compared to, say, other functional food and beverage products in the marketplace. We think of ourselves as a food company first. Anyone who works for us knows taste is our North Star. So deliciousness and enjoyability of eating is priority number one, but we also deliver functional benefits. So we're shelved in the chocolate section. Generally, there's a subset called Better For You chocolate. We're shelved there, and our long run vision is to have a functional subset of the chocolate category. So over time, our hope is that when you go to shop chocolate as a consumer, you'll have options for chocolate that does more for you than just taste great. And Awake wants to be the company that really leads that growth and that evolution of the category.
So, it's challenging for consumers to sort of separate all or at least to parse all the information coming at you. Coffee was bad for you. Coffee is good for you. Chocolate is always good for you because it's a pick me up. But, people look at it and say, well, there's too much sugar in it, content, etc. So how do you ride those waves of sort of public sentiment where, one day it's seen as a healthy alternative, another day it's not? You talked about cacao. I know that's a foundational ingredient. There's different quality grades within every food category. Is Awake a premium product? Is it something that you would expect somebody to buy and eat once a day? Or are they buying it and eating it, I'm sure hopefully sitting in your seat, people are eating it all day long, but that's probably
Yeah.
not practical either. So where does it fit in terms of how you would like to see people enjoying it?
Well, so great question. I would say that our goal and ambition is that people enjoy Awake whenever it makes sense for them to do so. And we do quite a bit of consumer interview and surveys with our online buyer group or people who have opted into our email strings. And what we have found is that the average Awake buyer is eating our product about 21 times a month. And for context, that's more than 50% higher than run-of-the-mill version 1.0 chocolate, which tastes great, but has lower quality ingredient panel probably and doesn't do anything for you. And what we have also found is that most of our customers are eating Awake away from the home while they're out doing things. So the number one time of day that people eat it is in the mid to late afternoon. Get over that 3 p.m. Our brand mascot is an owl. So we have a saying, give 3 p.m. the feather, right? When the days are dragging and you still have things to do, you can reach for a piece of Awake. It's a delicious treat, gives you a few minutes of unadulterated happiness eating it. Plus you get the energy to power through the rest of your day. And interestingly, also, the second most common consumption occasion for our brand is in the morning. About 35% of consumers tell us that they eat Awake in the morning. And very few chocolate brands get eaten in the morning. I'd like to see a chocolate for breakfast movement with Awake at the forefront of that, but that might be a bit aspirational.
No, it's fascinating because part of the name may evoke people to think about it. Hey, why not get have my pick me up in the morning, and it's simple
Yeah.
to do and I can do it on the run. And when I have to slam on the brakes, the likelihood of getting burnt is not high. So I could deal with a chocolate smudge, but I don't have to clean up the spills, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Well,
So.
you can't spill a piece of chocolate on your laptop or on your nice outfit, right? It definitely has advantages. And you mentioned the brand name. We're big proponents of the idea that our responsibility as brand operators is to make things simple for the consumer. So, we were very deliberate about wanting our brand name to also communicate the product benefit because it's easy to understand. When people see our brand, they generally get what we're trying to do. And that feels like success to us. If it can be understood in a second or two without a lot of mental effort, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
So tell us a little bit about in the background, you've got, a number of different product packaging. Are those brand extensions? Is it different flavor profiles? Is that where the company is going in terms of expanding the foundational product, or do you envision a whole host of product down the road?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So Awake is available in 8 delicious flavors now. All of those are available online, and then certain specific flavors are available at different retail outlets. And I think our growth journey right now is mostly focused on household penetration. We're kind of making the transition from what I would describe as a successful early adopter brand to we want to be more mainstream. And that means we need to drive product distribution in more locations. So you'll see the bite-sized pieces that are on the screen behind me. That's really what we're focused on getting out into the marketplace. And more retailers are picking up our line. So we're super excited about that. Our longer term vision does include other functional benefits that we think can live alongside Awake. It might seem counterintuitive to people who think of chocolate as purely an indulgent product. We've done a lot of research on this. And in fact, we commissioned a college to do some research on our behalf last year with chocolate category buyers. And what they found with their panel was that 95% of chocolate category buyers were interested in getting functional benefits from their chocolate. In other words, like they see a need for chocolate to do more for them than just taste great. And when we probed a little bit deeper, there were a whole host of different functional benefits that people were interested in. Now, the number one benefit by far was energy. So, we're happy about that. But there are other good applications for functional chocolate that we've been working on, and we intend to bring some of those to the market in the next year or two.
Excellent. That's a wonderful place to be. I mean, I think, people are looking and we're all learning that food can be, have that functional benefit in so many different ways. Tell me a
Totally.
little bit. You said individually packaged chocolates, but the packaging that I see, at least the large package, look like they're multi-packs. Is that the way the product is typically sold at retail? You buy a package of 6, 10, 12, whatever it is in a package, and they're all
Yeah.
individually packaged, wrapped within that?
Well, I think it can be both, and it depends almost entirely on where you're buying it. So if you go into, for example, the Fresh Market, Big Y, Hy-Vee, and coming soon, Costco in the Southeast United States, those are all retail partners of ours. In those settings, you're going to buy a multi-pack. So in the Fresh Market and Big Y, as an example, we sell a stand-up pouch that has 8 pieces in it. At Costco, we're selling one that has 32 pieces in it. If, on the other hand, you're going into a convenience store or a food service location as an example, we got our start on college and university campuses. We generally sell, we call it a retail ready caddy or a change maker, where you can buy individual pieces. And that's great for impulse consumption, and it makes up a big part of our business.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like your background in food and consumer packaging has served you well. Tell us a little bit in the closing minute here and about your experience transitioning from, if I understand correctly, corporate food industry, larger companies to an entrepreneurial startup. What has been some, because we're all about lessons for entrepreneurs here at Radio Entrepreneurs. So tell us a
Yeah,
little bit about that transition for you and some of the greatest lessons learned along the way.
yeah. It's been a wonderful journey, not exclusively smooth sailing. I think any startup founder or entrepreneur who tells you it's smooth sailing has had an unusual experience, but it's been totally invigorating. I, I studied business as a college student, and the only two things I knew when I graduated were that I wanted to work with consumer packaged goods, and someday I wanted to start a business of my own. And so, fast forward 11 years post graduation, the opportunity to do Awake with my co-founders came along. And, we were intensely committed to it from just like moment one. We talked about the idea conceptually during a lunch and agreed that we would do it and never looked back. And as we've transitioned out of corporate life into being founders, it's been a super rewarding journey. We've learned a ton along the way. Nobody tells you when you go to start your own business, sure, you're going to be the CEO, but you're also the mailroom clerk. You're the inventory specialist. You're the accounts payable person. You got to do a little bit of everything. And so one of the biggest lessons that I learned over time is the importance of being focused on the activities that matter the most. There are an unlimited number of distractions that you're going to encounter when you're running your own business. But if you don't focus on the two or three things that really matter to the consumer and to your customer, chances are you're not going to be able to grow the business the way that you want to. So task focus and avoiding priority dilution is really important. We're lucky in our company that we've had advisors and board members around us who have provided good feedback along the way. But I have found that's something you really have to track very carefully if you're going to start your own business.
Fantastic. Great advice, great insight, and I really appreciate hearing about your story. Wish you continued success with Awake. We'll be looking for it at retail, and thank you so much for being a guest on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Our guest has been Adam Deremo, co-founder and CEO of Awake Chocolate. One more thing I should say, Adam, if people want to reach out, want to find more about where they can find your product, is that available on your website? And if you could provide it, that would be great.
Absolutely. So we're awakechocolate.com and on different social platforms at Awake Chocolate.
Fantastic. Again, our guest has been Adam Deremo, co-founder and CEO of Awake Chocolate. And we'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.